Now, the IPC has officially declared famine in Gaza City and nearby areas. For viewers who may not really be familiar with the story, what does this declaration actually mean, and how dire is the situation?
I think to declare a famine formally is extremely rare. And it means that the highest and most strictest criteria for starvation have been satisfied. That means that maybe 30% of children are acutely malnourished. A significant proportion, 20% of the households, have acute lack of food, and at least 2 people per 10,000 per day are dying from a combination of starvation and perhaps disease. But these are technical terms. You don't need the strict statistical criteria to really determine the fact that Gaza has been in this terrible cataclysmic crisis for some time. It's just another threshold that has been passed along a long and brutal journey.
Despite these overwhelming facts that you have presented, including with that of the United Nations, the Israeli government is still rejecting the famine report, saying it is inaccurate. Is that living in denial?
Well, I think it is not surprising. One thing we have in all wars is it's a war of words. And naturally, the Israeli government is going to deny this because it's extremely embarrassing for them. It shows, what low, degrading depths they're plunged into, and it shows that they've completely lost control. However, having said that, I think the fact that we don't have independent journalists going in, we have local journalists who do a great job, but these are not necessarily as independent as international journalists would be, and we don't have that much international media going in. And so with that, there is always a little bit of a credibility issue in terms of data. Having said that, quite honestly, you only have to look at the images coming out to realize you don't need statisticians to tell you that the people are starving.
And we are hearing heartbreaking accounts of children going without meals and suffering from malnutrition. And Israel has vowed to continue with these attacks to wipe out existing threats in the Gaza Strip. Now, at least for the sake of the children and the women, can Israel be stopped? Is there a way we can at least make them realize that this is human lives at stake?
Well, I think it's right to blame Israel for the primary responsibility of what is going on at the present time, which is deliberately depriving the people of Gaza, the ordinary people of Gaza, women and children, elderly and just ordinary people, of the basics of survival. Having said that, let us not forget that we are in this situation because Hamas is holding its own people hostage. And this problem would be solved instantly almost if Gaza would surrender the remaining alive Israeli hostages, and giving Israel less excuse to embargo or blockade the Gaza population. So I don't think there are only wrongs in this particular situation. And in that case, I think the poor people of Gaza are caught between the two sides, and the international community can't intervene. I mean, what are we going to do? We can't send in military. All we can do is bomb the Gaza Strip with food from the air, which is nowhere near enough to sustain the people who are starving to death, literally as we watch. Meanwhile, tons and tons and hundreds of lorries are parked only a few meters across the border and able to get in at minutes' notice.
And now, the United Nations Secretary-General António Guterres has called the famine a failure of humanity. So do you believe that the international response has been adequate, or are we witnessing a major breakdown in global accountability?
No, well, I think it's wrong to say that it's a blot on humanity worldwide. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. It is the combination of the terribly inhumane conduct of the Hamas militants and the Israeli response that is responsible for this inhumanity. It's wrong to blame the whole the whole world, the billions of decent people all around in all continents for this. No, we should put the responsibility where it is. And that's where the accountability lies. Now, I do not think the international community has the power to do much about it, other than perhaps imposing more sanctions and making sure that the means of waging war are stopped. People have talked about that. Give less arms to Israel, more sanctions. And on the Hamas side, I think the Arab states need to be much stronger on how they deal with Hamas. Remember that the Hamas terrorists have been nurtured in the Middle East for a very long time.
All right, now, even amidst all this, now aid groups are continuing to face serious obstacles in getting food and medical supplies into Gaza. What can be done to actually ensure that these humanitarian reliefs get to the people that need it? Is there somebody who has the power to make that change?
Well, only the Israeli military has that power. Only they can open the barriers, and only they can allow the trucks to get in. And once the trucks get in, Gaza is such a small territory that the place can be easily flooded with food. And all the agencies that are there or can come in are ready to go in and help and save the people who are literally starving to death. Only Israel has that power to allow that to happen. I mean, foreign countries have been trying to do airdrops, and we've seen the images on our television screens of these aeroplanes flying low and dropping packages of food. But quite honestly, the amount of food that has been dropped from the air has maybe enough to feed people for about half a day if it was properly distributed. And so it's fairly pathetic and is a distraction.
Finally, Professor Kapila, we've seen negotiations, we've seen prisoner swaps, we've seen talks as regards ensuring peace, or probably a two-state, affair coming into play in the Gaza Strip. Do you think that can be accelerated, or is it going to be until Israel gets its fill?
I do not think there will be a two-state solution anytime soon, if not even longer term, because Israel is making sure that that's not going to happen. So the idea that you can hold the people of Gaza hostage from both the Israeli side and the Hamas side for some theoretical two-stage solution while people literally starve to death, I mean, it's an obscenity. So the two-state solution and the peace process based on the two-state solution is total nonsense, because effectively what it's saying is that there will never be peace, and therefore these people have to starve to death, and the starvation numbers are simply going to mount. So I think the peace terms, as so far have been presented as trying to find a two-state solution, that is a distraction. And that is an obscene mechanism to really make sure that the people of Gaza, who have not already starved to death, will rapidly do so.
All right, Professor Mukesh Kapila, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.
Thank you.